a rolling stone. Nowhere feels like home. And I've seen people come and they go, and life is just a story of some highs and some lows. Tell me, do you believe in miracles? I'm standing here before your eyes. I've cried many rivers, I've walked through some pain, seen my world crumble, and I'll carry the shame. But I know somebody, he calls me his own. I can hear heaven singing out, oh, you're never alone. Oh, you're never alone. Everybody wants to be king, and we put all our hope inside material things. In your light, I now understand that everything I have ain't everything that I am. No, sometimes I feel like I'm not good enough, but that's when love says you're mine. Oh, I've cried many rivers, I've walked through some pain, seen my world crumble, and I'll carry the shame. But I know somebody, he calls me his own. I can hear heaven singing out, oh, you're never alone. No, no. I may have took some time, but now I realize my imperfections were a part of your plan. And if all things work together in the end, the broken will be beautiful. Oh, I've cried many rivers, I've walked through some pain, seen my world crumble, and I'll carry the shame. I know somebody, he calls me his own. Can you hear heaven singing out? Oh, you're never alone. Pekee yake na kusikia kwa mwezi, yatima alilia ndani kivuli. Pekee yake na kusikia kwa mwezi, maisha anasali kuokolewa. Amezunguka zunguka mbali sana, sasa hajui barabara ya kwake. Dunia inajua hadithi yake, lakini nani ajua jina lake? Pekee yake na kusikia kwa mwezi, yatima alilia ndani kivuli. Pekee yake na kusikia kwa mwezi, maisha anasali kuokolewa. Amezunguka zunguka mbali sana, sasa hajui barabara ya kwake. Dunia inajua hadithi yake, lakini nani ajua jina lake? Mwezi ukipo, rudilia
don't speak of. You can find it in your soul and your heart in the fashion. You can find it in places you will never imagine. You can find it in a friend or in a lover. You know, love will let loose if it's uncovered. You can find it in your family, always around. They'll always be there to help you out. See, I love this planet and its people, and in God's eyes, we are equal. So let's live it like they live it in the world above. The things we could do with a little bit of love. So let's live it like they live it in the world above. The things we could do with a little bit of love.
It's not gonna be easy, but if you believe me, we can reach the sky above. We can fly away, spread our wings and go higher. All we need is a little bit of love.
Let's sit back and imagine this. This love is like a train and we're passengers. You can go far if you're passionate, but see, most people don't know what passion is. I pour my soul in this, all of my heart, and I love you to death. I hate when we're apart. Love can be painful, I know how it feels, but it can be mended. A broken heart can be healed. I didn't know back then, but I know now. I will love you forever till the sun blacks out, till the sky falls in and the heavens collide. It'll never change how I feel inside.
Love, love, love.
So let's live it like they live it in the world above. The things we can do with a little bit of love.
It's not gonna be easy, but if you believe me, we can reach the sky above. We can fly away, spread our wings and go higher. All we need is a little bit of love.
All we need is a little bit of love.
Necesitamos amor.
All we need is a little bit of love.
Love is what we're looking for.
I said all we need is a little bit of love now.
C'est l'amour qu'on a besoin.
All we need is a little bit of love.
Gotta keep zero to love, love, love.
So let's live it like they live it in the world above. The things we can do with a little bit of love.
It's not gonna be easy, but if you believe me, we can reach the sky above. We can fly away, spread our wings and go higher. All we need is a little bit of love.
The curtain touches the ground. I'm moving without a sound. I see myself being found, yeah, yeah. Two parts of the same story, drawn back to the city of lights, discovering love in our hearts, yeah, yeah. I'm meeting myself, that character, a narrator of lights. Hey, I'll walk with you through plots and faults. I love it, you for a silent applause, yeah. There's souls that I carry inside, where my steps and my thoughts collide. I have these lines in my head, my guide, yeah. Been given all these dreams to rise. I wanna share my soul with you. We find ourselves in these lights, yeah, yeah. I'm meeting myself, that character, a narrator of lights. Hey, I walk with you through plots and faults. I love it, you for a silent applause, yeah. I'll show myself in someone else. I love through you, through these lights. I'll make myself that character, a narrator of light. Hey, I'll walk with you through plots and faults. I love it. You.
Yalimada, bienvenue, and welcome to this evening's Friday Night Reflections. My name is Natasha Walji, and it is such an honor to host you this evening. I also want to welcome all of our Jamaati members coast to coast, our multi-faith members, and everyone that's dialing in from across the globe. You are in for a very special evening. So I'm joining you today from my home here in Toronto, fresh off the heels of Black Friday and Cyber Monday. It was a very busy week. No, not because I was shopping, but in my role as a director at Google, it's an area that our team focuses on. I'm pleased to share that many Canadian businesses, small and large, saw record sales online, and it's really encouraging to see given everything that's happening around us. Now, I'm also very excited to be here because Friday Night Reflections is actually a weekly ritual in our household. We have made it to all 35 episodes with chai in hand, and we typically bake something fresh in the oven that day. And the only person that gets more excited about Fridays than I do is my daughter Sophia, and she's 4 years old and often talks about it in her kindergarten class. So tonight she has no idea that I'm hosting, and I cannot wait to see her reaction when she finds out. Now, I know the next question you all have top of mind is, what am I drinking tonight? Well, thank you for asking. I have a lovely cup of chai here. It is a organic Kashmiri green chai. I drink it on a daily basis. It has all the beautiful notes of a black chai, so the cardamom, the clove, the cinnamon, and it's very fragrant, but you actually don't need to put any milk in it, and I really appreciate the efficiency of that. Now, I've paired my chai tonight with a freshly baked cinnamon roll drizzled with maple syrup, and I know that's very Canadian, and that some of you are thinking, the other hosts brought things like naan katai or tepla. And, I do want to point out that I've been here for 35 weeks straight, and those are really calorie-rich snacks. So I'm just trying to, mix things up a bit to keep that in mind. And inshallah, we have another 35 weeks to go. So I've got to be mindful of that. So now I want to get to our theme of the evening, and that is Journeys of Courage. And I think this is the most fitting theme because yesterday the United Nations commemorated the International Day for People with Disabilities. And what we know is that 1 in 7 people globally, over 1 billion people, have a disability today. And of all the people with disabilities, 50% of them roughly have a disability that is not visible. And I want you to keep that in mind as we have our conversation today. And the numbers that I shared also apply similarly to Canada and to our Jamaat, both globally and in Canada. Now, this is a topic I am very passionate about. I can't wait to share more. But before I do that, I want to welcome President Amar Ali Qasim Laka to share some remarks with all of us from his home in Toronto.
My dear brothers and sisters, Yalim I trust you and your families are keeping well. Today I would like to speak to you on a few matters. I will start with our current circumstances related to COVID-19. In Canada, we have entered another wave of the pandemic, and infection rates have surpassed the first wave. Healthcare systems are under strain. We have seen a return to public health measures that were enacted earlier this year in the spring as governments seek to maintain the safety of Canadians while mitigating the impact of emergency measures. As a Jamaat, we have scaled back our own activities with Jamaat Khana ceremonies temporarily suspended or operating at reduced capacity. In his recent message to the Global Jamaat, Maulana Hazir Imam highlighted that there is no room for complacency, that we must take personal responsibility to protect ourselves, our families, and our communities. Following this guidance, I would urge upon the Jamaat the need in the coming weeks and months to make prudent decisions relating to your daily activities. We have come too far in this pandemic and persevered too much to now let down our guard. Hunker down for our own safety. Do not engage socially outside your household. The practices of physical distancing, wearing a mask, and hand hygiene have proven to be effective. They reduce the risk of serious illness and death. Please follow them carefully and without exception. As we approach the holiday period, we naturally seek the companionship and comfort of our family, relatives, and friends. But this year, we must stay apart, at least physically. This decision is difficult, but it is the utmost act of care and attention towards our loved ones. And though we may not be able to see each other in person, we know that the true heart of a family lies in its commitment to each other, and this family bond must grow stronger. I know that the current circumstances are difficult. The closure and limitations on Jamaat Khanas are challenging. Please know that these decisions are not taken lightly. They are made with utmost thought, care, and deliberation. Our first priority continues to be the safety and well-being of the Jamaat. I want to say that throughout the process of Jamaat Khana closings, reopenings, and scale back in capacity, the Jamaat has been very patient and understanding, and we want to thank you for your support. We know that globally, there's a significant amount of progress in the development of safe and effective COVID-19 vaccines. Researchers are testing 55 vaccines in human clinical trials, and at least 87 additional vaccines are in the early stages of development. In the past few weeks, we have learned that 3 of these vaccines have shown promising data, 2 of which have been approved for use in the United States. The Government of Canada has also worked on securing vaccines for Canadians. And while it is early to project a timeline on the arrival of vaccines, how many will be available, or which segments of the population will be prioritized, we can take comfort in the knowledge that there is a path towards recovery, that we can see the light ahead of us. This is the first time in human history that science and innovation in this area have progressed at such a rapid pace. New developments in vaccine research, development, distribution, and delivery are occurring daily. We are monitoring these trends and will continue to provide updates to the Jamaat. I want to take a moment to address our business community, the entrepreneurs and business operators in our Jamaat. The current pandemic has accelerated the opportunity to digitally transform our businesses. In fact, in some instances, deriving sales through the digital platform has become essential for the survival of businesses. The Jamaat institutions, together with Digital Main Street, Google, and Shopify, are offering comprehensive supports to Jamaati business owners interested in digitally transforming their businesses in response to the COVID crisis. The supports being provided include building know-how on digital marketing, increasing reach to customers, and selling products and services online. Direct consultative support is available in several regions and will soon be available nationally. We encourage Jamaati business owners to take advantage of these resources to expand your reach to customers in these difficult times. Members of Jamaat, I would like to update you on the ongoing work that is being done in Canada to establish housing opportunities for the Jamaat. You will remember that I had recently explained to you the concept of multi-generational housing, or MGH, which we have begun implementing in Canada. MGH is not just about residential care for seniors. It also aims to create quality, affordable housing for families and younger generations in our Jamaat. Quality housing in supportive surroundings can have a deep transformative impact on motivation and achievement in the next generation. It can also enhance the Jamaat's sense of security and confidence in times of vulnerability. It is with this in mind that we are evaluating and planning potential projects in different jurisdictions that incorporate both seniors' care and quality affordable housing. To make informed decisions, we need to better understand the Jamaat's needs. We are initiating Jamaati housing surveys in certain regions to ensure that our planning takes into consideration the Jamaat's requirements. A survey is underway for downtown Vancouver and another one for downtown Toronto. While there are no commitments or firm approvals on these projects, we request you to complete the surveys thoughtfully so that we can better understand how to make investments that will effectively serve the Jamaat in the long run. On the surface, MGH may simply seem like a project catering to a subset of the Jamaat. But that is not so. It is much more than that. These are spaces for all of us. These are exciting projects for the Jamaat that, inshallah, will allow us to come together and enjoy experiences together, be it recreation, food, education, housing, arts, culture, and more. Therefore, in completing the surveys, share your ideas with us. You should know that work is being done by a very dedicated group of volunteers, donors, and experts in the Jamaat who are working hard to achieve the quality housing objectives we have established for the Jamaat. We will keep you informed on these projects as new information becomes available. Lastly, I would like to discuss our education. With the increasing rates of COVID, more schools are going online. We know that while there are many interruptions with schools, it is important that children continue learning at home. We have seen studies suggesting that children may be falling behind in their reading and math by up to a year. So I say to the parents and caregivers in our Jamaat, please ensure your children are supported, not falling behind in their math, science, literature, and art, and that they are reading constantly. Talk to them and help them understand the events of the world we are living in today. For newly arrived immigrants, I want to remind English and French language fluency is the key to successful settlement, academic success, career progress, and economic strength. This is an important time in our lives to strengthen the foundation of our future and of the next generation. Members of the Jamaat, tonight's program is about celebrating resilience and courage and a reminder of what we can accomplish in the face of challenges. Let us move forward in the Spirit. While these are difficult times, there is reason for optimism. Let us stay the course, and we will get through this pandemic together. If anyone is feeling anxious or stressed, remember that we are here to support and care for you. Call the access line. Call our Mukhi Kamriyas, our Mukhyani Kamriyanis. We want to hear from you. Thank you and Khuda Hafiz.
Thank you, President Saib, for your insightful remarks and for reminding us that hope is on the horizon. That's such an important message for all of us to hear. Now we're going to shift gears and talk about the topic of the evening. As I mentioned, it's something very dear to my heart. And the reason for that is because I had the great honor of co-founding a program called SKIP in 2009. Now, the way we founded it was kind of by accident. I was walking along the water with a friend on a sunny summer afternoon in Toronto and happened to attend a barbecue at the Ontario Disabled Sailing Club. Now, I had many interesting conversations that day, but I also met the leader of the club. And she basically shared with me all the activities that they do. And what they did was they actually helped people with disabilities and children and their caregivers go sailing on the water with a volunteer skipper. And a skipper helps navigate a sailboat. And so now you can get a sense of how we originally got inspired to call the program SKIP, and it's held true for all these years. So sure enough, she shared that with me, and she shared that they often host communities. So I asked if we could have a day, and so we booked it. And then I went home that day and I called every Sevadari I knew in our Jamaat, and I asked them if they could help find families that could benefit from that program. I led the program for about 5 years, and I'm so pleased to share that today the program still exists, and they've expanded the program with the regions to most cities across Canada. And that's so lovely to hear that they've been able to do that. Now, that program, when we started it, was very much inspired by Hazrat Imam's emphasis on pluralism and improving quality of life during the Golden Jubilee. And we know those are still very important topics and ongoing points of emphasis. And one of the things that Maulana Hazrat Imam really emphasized during Golden Jubilee was this concept of beneficiary engagement. And that's really about engaging the communities that you serve to help them shape what you do. And I think that was one of the reasons why SKIP was so successful and we were able to scale the program to what it is today. So in the early days of SKIP, we co-created the program with children and people with disabilities and their caregivers, and they helped us formalize our mandate, how we would operationalize everything, and also what we would focus on. And so our mandate, which remains true to today, is to ensure every single SKIP member achieves their full potential and lives a dignified quality of life. And how we go about doing that is focused on 3 things. One is advocacy, both inside and outside of the Jamaat. Secondly is inclusion. And third is about empowerment. Now, one thing that was especially touching for me was that every member we had in SKIP that had a disability had this remarkable ability to touch the heart. And I experienced that on dozens of occasions, along with all the volunteers that had the privilege of serving SKIP members in the Jamaat. And so today, if anything that I shared with you resonated and you think you may want to become a SKIP member, either as a family that has a child or person with disabilities or as a volunteer, please reach out through the access line or your local MK, Mukhi Kamraya, and they can connect you to your local SKIP chapter. So with that, we're now going to show a lovely film from the United Kingdom that was featured at the Jubilee Arts Festival in Lisbon, and it's called My Child, My Life.
Well, it started with mountains crashing down, to be honest.
He used to cry often. It didn't seem right. We just had this word hydrocephalus and we just rushed to the hospital.
We have 4 chambers in our head. Liquid flows from one to the other and then exits the head. In Rafet's case, the passage between the third and the fourth was blocked, and that was causing problems. And that meant that the surgeons had 2 options, either to bypass, put a shunt, or to go in the brain and unblock, which we weren't in favor of. It wasn't recommended anyway.
So obviously, naturally, having an operation and the baby so small is quite worrying. But at the same time, I thought, okay, if he's going to hospital, hopefully now that they've found out whatever the issue is, we'll have the operation and then we'll go home and then we'll just get back to normal. We went back into hospital for a checkup and they've said, unfortunately, the surgery was not successful and we're going to have to operate again. So that was a big shock. I always used to think at the back of my head, I really don't want to go back to the hospital again. Unfortunately, after surgery number 2, we went 3 months down the road and the same thing happened again and I just couldn't believe it. I just thought, there's a certain point where you just think, okay, this is enough, but then it happened again. So 6 months down the line, we went back 3 months on just for a random eye appointment. He was crying and crying, and then we just decided to just go next door to A&E. When we got there, they just said, he's really not looking good at all. We need to get a CT scan, and they said, look, he just needs to be get to hospital. The hydrocephalus has returned, and it's not looking good. And unfortunately, it was the 21st of March, which was Navroz. And I just couldn't believe, I just didn't know what to do. It was just, I thought that was the last of Rafe, really.
I had very doubts at that time, really, because I never had experience with a disability, and that one.
I didn't even know I was pregnant. After 4 months, I found out I was pregnant. And then when I got the diagnosis they said that something was wrong when I went for a scan. And then 6 months they do the test. And then they told me that he had Downs.
We met some parents with the same problems. We started to read in the books as well.
The worry was that I was getting older and what would happen to him, if something happened to me.
The first 4 years, Amal had really problems, a lot of health problems.
He had a hole in the heart. He had infections all the time, so I was in the hospital all the time. And then when I did that, people used to say, see, we told you.
And it was really hard on that time. But shukar, we managed. We keep going on and on.
So when I was expecting, I did not know that they had Down syndrome because I thought it was a blessing from God that I'm expecting, first of all. And then, so I didn't know. And then when they were born, and nobody knew at that time as well, the doctors did all their muscle tone, tests and everything, and they couldn't recognize that they had a problem. So it baffled the doctors because the results came out positive that they both had Down syndrome. Then all the checks started, and then both the girls were found to have heart murmur. Zara had a small little murmur. A murmur is a hole in the heart, and Serena had a complete big murmur, and her heart was completely open, so she had AVSD.
It was scary at the beginning not to know what to expect with them.
When the baby was only 5 months, she went into an open heart surgery, And then when she was 1 year and 1 month, 13 months, I remember I was at Royal Brompton Hospital in December, and it was 13th of December, and there's Kushali going just right near me in Kensington Khane, and I'm telling Mark, there's Kushali next door, and we are at Brompton Hospital with my baby. So then the operation went a success. Then she had to put on weight to do the final operation, and that came on after 6 months when she was only a year and a month, 13 months baby, and they did the final op. And look at her today.
Serena they're both very loving. Zara takes the time to kind of know you, so she's a bit cautious, but then when she gets to know you, she opens up. Serena is very bold and brash and outgoing. And we have a lot of fun with them. They are lots of fun. They're becoming more and more independent now.
I think it would be our eldest who's paid the price, because she received least of the attention out of all the situation.
Obviously, the first year is the year when kids learn to sit up, to walk, to crawl, and then eventually go to walk. But for Rafi, unfortunately, things were quite slow.
He didn't feel he was equal to other kids, and then he was getting bullied. And every time I went to school, they would say, no, he's not getting bullied. But he was. And he would, every morning he would cry. He didn't want to go to school.
They just want to be accepted like everyone, like all of us. We want to be accepted, we want to be recognized for what we do. So I think that's the same thing they want.
At the moment, special needs children are not inclusive, are not included. There is less understanding of disabled children. We are in the 21st century where Mola has said, educate yourself. Yes, we educate ourselves. We come to a level where we are so educated, but in that education, something is lacking. Yeah, something is lacking to empathize, to sympathize with special needs.
Look, nobody's seen future, and with children, it is almost like a lottery. You don't know what's going to come out. It can be a girl, it can be a boy, it can be a varied capacity, capabilities. There's a whole wide spectrum of things that can come in. And once you, as a parent, you start your family planning, you have to be ready for these things.
What I've learnt over time is you have to get your hands dirty. Although there is support through, NHS and schooling system, if you really want to make progress, then you need to do all your research.
I think if you got the patience and you got the love inside you, then your kid is going to be fine. But if you resent the child for having special needs, or you don't have the patience or the love for them, the child is going to suffer.
I think you just need to contact other parents in a similar situation and talk to them, because that will alleviate sort of some of your fears.
And talk to that child.
But people would just come and say, hello, Yali Mother, and smile, and then he would smile through his eyes.
That's what Rafa is all about. He brings about the change in you when you interact with him.
Well, I like him to achieve his potential, whatever that is. I see that he's a very bright boy. So that really puts me under pressure, because I think I've got to just do everything. I cannot miss any stone. If there's something that I could do today that will make his life easier somehow. He's got a lot to give. He's got a lot of love. He's very sociable. He's very happy.
He knows his ganans. He can sing them. He does so many things so beautifully. He expresses himself so much, expresses love. Any given learning institution, be the school that he goes to, or Bethlehem for that matter, the teachers, the person looking after him, they have to really, really stretch him, and I can guarantee you he will respond.
But now he's in special school, and he wants to go to school. So that has worked, for me. And he's improving. He's reading, he's doing maths, he likes playing basketball, he plays tennis, he plays table tennis. At the moment, he's into music, so hopefully we'll get him there.
You'd be surprised, if Serena, if I tell her let's go horse riding, she'll jump on the horse or camel or anything. Zara will wait and see us going and see how it is and be a bit scared. But they've done zip lining, they've done all sorts of things, and they just throw themselves in. So it's good they're brave, and I don't want anyone to say they can't do zip lining because of their conditions.
You probably have the worst days, like, with all your other material stuff in your life and all that. And that, as soon as they come home from school and the smile they give you, it just, removes all the other stress that you have, and it just brings that happiness. And look at the potential Down syndrome children have. They have so much potential. I mean, my girls, I'm really proud of them. I can see them working in supermarkets. I can see them working in hairdressing salons. I can see my children working in hospitals, right? They could fit in anywhere. So there are challenges, but there are lots of positives.
I want to be a teacher.
Oh, you want to be a teacher?
I want to be a chef.
Chef. What type of, can you show us how you will cook when you're a chef?
I'm going to cook pizza.
How do you make pizza?
I'm going to do it in a frying pan.
Frying pan? Are you going to flip it?
No, you need naan bread. Naan bread. You put tomato sauce, then you put cheese, then you put all kinds of toppings like chicken, meat and vegetables. Don't like that.
Oh, yummy. What's your favourite pizza?
Chicken spicy pizza. Mine's is double nice.
What do you want to do when you're older? Do you want to be a musician or a footballer? What do you want to be? Singer? Huh? Which one? Did you say footballer?
Hello, my name is Harissa, and this is my brother Rafi. He's a very nice boy, and he likes to sing "I'm a Little Teapot" nursery rhyme song. And how does it go, Rafi? I'm a little.
Sing it together.
Teapot, your turn down. Here is my hand, and here is the spout. When you pull me over, hear me shout. It's tip me over and pull me out. Good.
Yay!
I hope you enjoyed that. Congratulations to the team that put that moving piece together. So to share some additional insights tonight, we're privileged to have Dr. Jamil Jivraj joining us. Dr. Jivraj is a psychiatry resident at the University of Calgary in the Faculty of Medicine. He is a passionate advocate for people with disabilities and has done extensive research on autism. He's also won numerous awards and has many accolades, including being the recipient of the Alberta Council for Global Cooperation's Top 30 Under 30 Award for his international work in Uganda. He's also the recipient of the Stars of Alberta Volunteer Award and has been active in community service for much of his life. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Jivraj. Dr. Jivraj, thank you so much for joining us today. Now, when we talk about persons with disabilities, it can become easy to other, that is, to split the world into those with and without a disability. But I understand the picture is not so simple. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Thank you, Natasha, and it's great to be here. One of the challenges with labels is that they often carry a set of assumptions, and these assumptions lead us to overlook different dimensions and possibilities. For instance, when we think of individuals with disabilities, we often think of those individuals with visible disabilities. However, many of our brothers and sisters with neurologic conditions, mental health challenges, sight or hearing impairments, or chronic pain have a diverse spectrum of abilities. Along with individuals with visible disabilities, they have unique experiences and unique barriers that affect their inclusion and participation in the Jamaat.
This week, we celebrate the United Nations Day of Persons with Disabilities. The theme is focused on building more inclusive and accessible communities in a post-COVID world. Recognizing that we have a diversity of individuals with varying levels of ability and disability, how do you think we can build an inclusive and equitable community within our Jamaat?
Pandemic restrictions have given myself and many others a taste of what it feels like to not be able to access the physical spaces that create that sense of belonging and community within us. Going to Jamaat Khana, to work or school, or friends' houses or the gym. But for many individuals with disabilities, barriers affecting their full participation and access to these spaces began well before the pandemic. So what are some next steps? At an individual level, we can ask our sisters and brothers with disabilities how we can be supportive. We can also reflect on ways our friends and families have made us feel that sense of community and create similar opportunities for others. At a systemic level, realizing that we don't have all the answers is a good starting point. In order to better understand how we can make the Jamaat more inclusive, we need to create opportunities for individuals with disabilities and their families to be actively present at decision-making tables. Their perspectives should guide the creation of programs and the delivery of programs. With their guidance and consultation informed directly from their experience, we'll be able to understand unique barriers and build back better.
That was excellent insight. Thank you so much, Dr. Jibraj. In our next feature, we will be sharing stories of hope and courage from incredible members of our Jamaat, sharing their own experiences.
Shaina was born way earlier than what she should have. She's born less than 30 weeks with a very low birth rate. When I took her to the doctor, it was very hard and very unbelievable to hear that she was part of CP, cerebral palsy. We could see her changing when she started going to preschool. She would always question me, "Mom, why am I using this equipment?" She had a walker to start with. She was on a wheelchair. Then eventually she started using crutches. I still remember that day. I would always tell her that, "Shaina, you are lucky. You have to have 4 legs." We would always make her walker, her crutches to become her legs. And she would be very happy and she would say, "Oh Mom, I'm so lucky. Maula Papa has blessed me so much that I have 4 legs. People can run slow with 2 legs, but I can run faster."
Some of my favorite things to do are swimming, reading, writing, playing the piano, horseback riding, being in ventures. I'm a first-year venture, being a Beavers leader, but most importantly, being a dua teacher. This is by far the most rewarding thing I've ever experienced. When I was younger, I didn't have the confidence that I do now because I thought, I have these physical challenges, I have these challenges, and I'll never be as good as anybody who has no challenges. But then I realized that everybody in life, whether they're visible or not, have their own challenges. But the important thing is how you adapt and you use those challenges as your strengths rather than your weaknesses.
I would like to thank our Jamaat, with all these different programs they have for the kids, like First Time Ginan, Farman, Dua. And I think every time she went up on that mic, the Jamaat had always supported her.
My hope today is that everybody is treated the same because we are all part of Allah's creation.
My name is Eliza Chagpar, and I'm from Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I have a son, Kadeem, who's 6 years old and has a disability. He was diagnosed with a rare neurological disorder called Angelman syndrome. While disabilities bring on many challenges, Kadeem has always taught us to focus on the positive. Kadeem is a social butterfly with a smile that lights up any room. He loves to tell jokes and will tell them to anybody who will listen. Kadeem loves going to Jamaat Khana and having a sense of community. Everyone from downtown Toronto, Jamaat Khana, know Kadeem and Kadeem knows them. A proud moment for us and for Kadeem was when he learned to walk and talk. The reason being is that when Kadeem was diagnosed, we were told by doctors that Kadeem may never walk or talk. But Kadeem defied odds with a lot of practice and persistence by taking his first steps in Jamaat Khana. For us, inclusion means celebrating everybody for all of their different abilities instead of excluding them for their differences.
My name is Shamil and I live in Mississauga.
So Shamil was born with spina bifida and he has got his first neurosurgery when he was just 6 hours old. And after that he has gone through several neurosurgeries during the first year of his birth.
I like reading books, I love playing video games with my brother, and I play wheelchair basketball for Cruisers. I'm most proud of being an ambassador for Friends of We Care, an organization that raises funds for kids so that they can go to fully accessible camps.
That really makes us really proud parent when we see him advocating for kids with disabilities and doing wonderful things.
I've gone to many skip events, had a great time, met some old friends, met some new friends, and I also got a chance to do many waras in different khanes.
The one thing that we have commonly seen everywhere is the lack of acceptance of accessibilities and the needs of special children.
When I grew up, I wanted to study journalism and be a news anchor.
My name is Safi Chevert. I am 26 years old. I live in Surrey, BC. I work for the Pepsi Cola and I volunteer for the city of Surrey.
I've known Safir since 2008, since he came to a weekend Ismaili camp. Safir became very quick friends with me and another close friend of ours, Ali Lalani, and he has been ever since.
I like to watch the NHL games at Vancouver Canucks Rogers Arena.
He's a very social person. He makes friends easily. He has a lot of friends actually, and he's not shy at all.
I play soccer, hockey, and I love to help my parents out with cooking.
We were there when he graduated from SFU with all the other students and walked across the stage. It was a great, a very proud moment for everyone, for his family. Talking to his mom, she told me that he would not have achieved what he has if his peers and friends and people around him had not treated him as an equal. So I think our community has done that. We treat him like an equal. He's gone to BUI growing up, in school, and when he was at SFU, people treated him as an equal.
My name's Alim Jaffer. I live in Edmonton. I'm a job developer by profession. I have an HR background. Not much different than anybody else, just working from home, trying to learn how to cook, do new things, of course. The Jamaat saw me with the physical disability and they're very supportive. And later on, I was able to do I am still actually part of IVC and doing Seva in Jamaat Khana. So it's really, really nice that way. Jamaat has been really supportive. However, I do find on a personal level that there needs to be a little bit more done for people with different disabilities. That may be autistic or maybe on the spectrum. There needs to be a lot more acknowledgement for that accommodation for those disabilities. A couple of ways that our Jamaat can help us in this process. Although we have come, we've had a very good experience generally. I think the one thing is that the Jamaat needs awareness of disabilities, that it does exist in our khanes. I have cerebral palsy, so it's a physical disability, but there is all sorts of disabilities out there. There's cognitive disabilities, there's learning disabilities, there's physical, there's hearing disabilities, there's people that are blind as well. So there's all spectrums of disabilities. So just by knowing me, for example, who has Alim Jaffer, who has cerebral palsy, doesn't mean that another murid with my condition has the same thing in terms of their needs. So we're all individuals that have our own needs. People tend to shy away from asking a question if they don't know something, thinking that they might offend somebody, and I think that's the wrong assumption to make. I think people that have disabilities or people that care for people who have disabilities really like having those questions brought to them. So instead of you guessing, oh, Alim won't like going out with us tonight because it might be difficult for him to use his crutches, it's kind of cool that you would just say to me, hey Alim, we want to go out this evening, would you be okay to use crutches? I would like to say that I'm really proud of being a Ismaili. Being an Ismaili indirectly and directly has helped me to excel in my life. I know that whenever I've had difficulties or challenges, I've always relied on our spiritual aspect of our faith to get me through things. And in terms of materialistic, I've always been encouraged by our work that we do in our communities. We value education, and that kind of gave me the drive to kind of finish my education, and I graduated with distinction with a degree in Bachelor of Management. And obviously I would like to give credit where it's due, and that credit would also go to my mother, Tasnim Jaffer, and my grandfather, my grandmother, my grandparents, my family. They've all been kind of really supportive. They've been really supportive in terms of my studying and things like that. But there are many, many days where I would need that extra support. Having a disability, yes, I'm proud that I'm able to excel with my disability, but sometimes it has my challenges, and everybody has those moments. If you ask people that have disabilities, will tell you we have really good days and then we really have bad days. And on those bad days, you really need to be strong and have something or somebody to turn to. And I've been really fortunate that I rely on my faith quite a bit. No matter who I have as friends or whether they have disabilities or not, I've never considered myself as a person who has a disability. And sometimes I do forget. And if my mom was alive, she would tell you the same thing, that she would forget that I have a disability too at times, because we would laugh about it quite a bit. You may have a mountain climber who can climb a mountain, but you also have a person with a disability that will climb a mountain, but he'll use a rope to climb instead of a ladder. I'm really glad that we're doing this segment on disabilities today. A lot needs to be done still. We are very fortunate that the Jamaat, we're looking to these conversations and we're having them. And I think this is just the beginning. I think a lot more conversations need to be had, remembering that everybody that has a disability is different in their own ways. When we do have events, try to be open-minded and inclusive for those Jamaati members that want to attend but need certain accommodations. So just to remember that even though I have a physical disability, there are a lot of my brothers and sisters that have other sorts of disabilities that need to be considered. But the main thing is, please is educate yourself, be open-minded with conducting a dialogue, and that's the best way to do it.
I hope you enjoyed that. For me, it's a glimpse into why working with children and people with disabilities has been so inspiring. So before we head into our most loved, much awaited musical expressions, I have a few important announcements to make. Please remember that the burial plan drive is still open and the due date is December the 30th. You can find this online at iicanada.com/burial plan. If you've missed past episodes, unlike me, you can now find them easily at iicanada.org/FNR. This is episode number 36, which is just unbelievable. Next weekend, I know, is a very special one for all of us as we celebrate our beloved Imam's 84th birthday. I know we can't commemorate in Kane, and for some of you that may be disappointing, but we've got an amazing weekend of special programming in store for all of you, and our volunteers are hard at work working on all of that to keep us all connected at home. Next Friday, we're going to have a Salagra edition of our Friday Night Reflections. There will be a quiz, a delightful children's segment. And on December the 13th, on Sunday, please make sure you join us for a special evening program entitled Salagra, celebrating our beloved Imam as we celebrate and honor our beloved Maulana Hazri Imam. We end our show tonight with a unique feature entitled Shabu Unstoppable. It's an uplifting story of one of our Jamaati members from Calgary and is brought to you by filmmaker Kareem Punja. This film was a finalist in the Jubilee Arts Canada Film Festival, and we're proud to showcase Kareem's work and bring it back today. And of course, we close off the evening with the most loved musical expressions. It was an absolute joy to host you today. Thank you so much for having me in your living room. I hope you enjoyed the show. I also wanted to wish you an early Kushali Mubarak to you and your family, and a Kushali Mubarak to my mom, my dad, my sister, and Sophia, my daughter, and wish all of you immense happiness, barakat, good health. Stay safe out there, and Yali Madat.
Hi, I'm Nahid Nenshi, Mayor of Calgary, and I'm thrilled that so many of you are getting the opportunity to share in the story of two remarkable Calgarians, Shabu and Sheda. Now, I've known them forever, and I have been inspired by Shabu's determination and by his incredible resilience in everything he's ever done, and with Sheda being right there next to him for so many years, and I'm thrilled to share this story with so many of you. Thanks so much to Karan Punja and the team for putting together this beautiful film. Be ready to be inspired.
There is an inspirational quote that states, "The higher you climb a mountain, the more beautiful the view." Certainly, many individuals can identify with the vivid imagery that phrase evokes. But what if you cannot? What if you are visually impaired and your experience of the earth is created by what you touch, smell, taste, hear, and do?
My name is Shabu and I am totally blind.
Shabu is the first totally blind Canadian to graduate from the University of Calgary with a bachelor's degree in computer science. Shabu continuously aspires to achieve ever higher goals, defying all odds in the process. His impressive accomplishments began to garner attention as he tackled tasks that are typically considered impossible for a visually impaired person, most notably when he and Sheda hiked some of the most impressive peaks on Earth.
The first mission we wanted to do back home was to climb Mount Kilimanjaro, which is about over 19,000 feet, and it has a nickname of Roof of Africa. The second mission was that to raise funds for a humanitarian cause, Focus Canada, and we raised $10,000 for that. The sense and the relief and all those stuff when we did the job was so much fulfilling. It was so much of a pleasure and happiness to get to the top.
Shabu was the first totally blind Canadian to have reached Uhuru Peak. And so 2013 we decided to take a bigger adventure. So we decided to climb to the Everest Base Camp. And at the same time, we raised over $30,000 for the World Partnership Walk. The whole trip was 14 days, up and down the mountains of the Himalayas, and down the valley, and across the suspension bridges over the Dudh River. And the last 3 days was the toughest because we were quite high by that time. And it had been snowing for the last 3 days, and I wasn't sure that we would make it to the base camp. I was very happy and excited and very proud of him to be the first totally blind Canadian to have reached the Everest Base Camp.
Shabu is unstoppable, a shining example of tenacity and resilience. When he's not busy with philanthropic work, Shabu enjoys riding tandem bicycle, cooking, and cross-country skiing, for which he has won numerous gold and silver medals. The couple injects all their endeavors with laughter and fun. They exude kindness and compassion, as well as an incredibly alluring zest for life. Shabu and Shada live by example and demonstrate for all the philosophy that a physical disability is but a mere blip on your journey to reaching new heights.